Hello and welcome. Come meet me on your mat for this step-by-step guide on how to achieve handstand in your yoga practice. So if you haven't already checked out my previous video on progressions and techniques for inversions or arm balances in your yoga practice, I highly suggest checking that video out before attempting this one, just to make sure that the body feels warm and that the right muscles are engaged before you attempt going upside down. So if you're all ready for your practice, we're going to start lying down on our backs. So we are actually going to do a little bit of a core warm up before we even attempt balancing on our hands. So as you do come down to lie on your back, legs will be stretched long out in front of you, and arms will be resting down by your sides. So we're going to play with a few different techniques that resemble what it's going to be like when you're upside down and you're balancing on your hands. And the first and my favorite one and progression is this low boat pose. So when you're lying down on your back, you're going to lift head, shoulders, and feet away from the floor, and you're going to stretch both hands out in front of you. Now I want you to point your toes, but I want you to send the energy out through the big toe mounds of the feet. So you're actually spreading all 10 toes apart. And then you're really hollowing out the front body. And this is exactly what you're going to be doing when you're balancing on your hands. Now you can keep the hands down low by your sides, or if you want a little bit more, the arms would come up above you and you will flex both of your wrists like you're balancing on your hands on the wall behind you. Now your gaze is actually going to neutral, so you're going to look up towards the sky. And then just send the energy out through the big toe mounds and send the energy back out through the palms of your hands and stretch long to either end for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let that go. Control your lower of head and shoulders back down to the ground and rest the hands on the body. Come back to your breath. And just notice any lingering sensation from that engagement. We really want to make sure that the core is active and turned on before we go upside down, because that will really help us find balance. And again, when we're upside down, you really are kind of looking for that hollow body shape. A little tuck of your tailbone underneath you and a pulling of your navel, your belly button towards your spine. So as you do this next and final round, just see if you can imagine and picture yourself in a handstand when you're holding this low boat. So let's try one more time. Lifting head, shoulders, heels away from the floor. Spread all 10 toes apart and push the heels out in front of you, or the big toe mounds of your feet out in front of you. Stay here holding the thighs, or stretch the arms over your head and flex the wrists like you are balancing on your hands on the wall behind you. Neutral your head, ears in line with upper arms, and hold for 5. Belly to spine for 4. Extend to either end of the room for 3, 2, and then with 1, slowly lower head and shoulders to mat. Rest the hands on the body and just let that go. Close the eyes and just let the sensation dwindle, but keeping that memory of what it feels like to hold that strength. Lovely. And then we're going to come up onto our feet next. So as you do come onto your feet, another little progression. You're going to start with your hands on your hips, and you're going to step your right foot forward, or whatever dominant leg would be for you, forward. Now it's kind of like a warrior 3 preparation. Your hands stay on your hips, you hinge from your hips, and you lead with your heart forward. Shoulders are back and down. And then as you keep a micro bend into your right front leg, I want you to just tilt forward, but press back out through your left heel. And then push out through the left heel, lengthen the crown of your head forward, find the navel pulling into your spine again. And then find the right knee, right standing leg bending as you tap the left toes from the floor. And then you push back off, pushing your left heel back. Let's try that again. For 4, tap down. For 3, float and push the left heel back. Nice. For 2, bend your right knee, tap the left toes. Float your left leg and push your heel back. Last one, tap down and lift. Hold this time in your warrior 3 and reach both of your hands forward out in front of you, palms face one another. Stretch, 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 super long. Flex both of your wrists. Push your left heel back. Push both of your hands forward. And imagine you can flatten your lower back on the ceiling. Nice. Bring both of your hands to your hips again. Bend your standing leg. Rise back up. We'll do the same thing on the next side. So with both hands on your hips, step your left foot forward. Micro bend your left standing leg. Draw your core in. Hinge from your hips. Tilt forward. And float your right leg from the mat. Push your right heel back. Find some balance. And then find those teeter-totters. So bend your left standing leg, tap the right toes to the floor, and then push your right heel back, lean forward and lengthen your spine. Just like that. For 4, tilt back and tap, tilt forward and lift, push your heel back. Nice. For 3, we're just working on what it would feel like to push off of your standing leg and elevate your top leg to the sky in order to come into your handstand. You have 2 more. See if you can move a little bit slower, a little bit more controlled. Last one to tap down and lift your holding on this one. Push your right heel back, lengthen your spine forward. Reach both of your hands out in front of you. Flex both of your wrists. Palms push forward. Right heel pushes back. Your core is turned on. And you're flattening your lower back to the ceiling for 5. 4, keep breathing. 3, 2, and 1. Hands to your hips. Step your right toes down and just let that go. Really nice. Now come to a downward facing dog. So you may start on all 4s, hands and knees. Fingertips are spread out wide. You tuck your toes under and the knees lift. Now, this is a great preparation for your handstand. You're going to take a shorter dog. So your feet are going to walk in slightly so that you can really find the stacking of your shoulders above your wrists. Your gaze is going to look down to that space between both of your thumbs. Now I just want you to take a moment to find an elevation and a depression of your shoulders. So for the elevation, push, push, push the floor away from you and bring your shoulders up to your earlobes. Really hunch your upper back. Nice, and then reverse that. Depress the shoulders down, sink into the shoulders, take the shoulders away from your ears. And then repeat, shrug the shoulders up, plant the hands down, see if you can squeeze the core in as you do this. And then depress the shoulders, lower them away from your ears. For 4, lift and lower. Feeling what it's like to push the floor away from you with your hands and what it feels like to sink back down into the shoulders. When you're in your handstand, you want to push, push, push away, not depress them down, but we're building strength. So 1 more, push the floor away, bring the shoulders up, and then lower them back down. Nice. Take a break, knees to the ground, bum on your heels. A moment just to take the tops of your hands down onto the ground. Spread the fingertips, spread the thumbs out wide, give the hips a rock from side to side. wanting to make sure that the wrists are also nice and warm before we attempt any arm balances or inversions. Reverse this by taking your palms flat onto the ground, fingertips face towards both of your knees. Again, fingertips are spread out wide, but you just rock your weight back a little bit as you stretch the forearms, maybe a side-to-side movement. Wonderful. As you let that go, sit your bum onto your heels, interlace the fingers, and give the wrists a little bit of a roll out. A figure eight in one direction, and then a figure eight in the opposite direction. So now we're pretty much going to combine everything that we just explored into our handstand attempts. So once again, just a reminder, that hollow body shape when we were down onto the ground, the core is engaged. That sensation of pressing out through your back heel in order to take flight of your lifted leg. And then also that pushing of the floor away from you with your hands so that there's power, there's a engagement of your hands down onto the ground. We're not dropping into our shoulders, our elbows are not loose, it's strong, it's active. There's integrity in our arms, in our core, in our legs. So let's try it out. You're gonna start in your short downward facing dog. Spread your hands out wide, your fingertips out wide, your thumbs out wide. Tuck your toes and lift both of your knees away from the floor. Walk your feet in slightly so you come to your short dog. Your gaze looks to that space between both of your thumbs onto the ground, and you're gripping the floor with your finger pads. Choose one leg to float away from the mat, doesn't matter which one. I like my right leg. And then just like we did in that warrior 3, you're pushing out through your back leg, and then you're just going to lift your left heel or whichever foot is on the ground. Your standing heel is just going to lift, you stack your shoulders above your wrists, and then you rock back. And then you repeat. As you lift your standing heel, you kick your top heel to the sky, and then you lower down. You have 3 more like that. Rock up and lift and lower. Find that hollow body shape as you rock up. Squeeze the core in and lower. One last time. Lift your heels up and lower. Let's try the opposite side. Step your floating foot down. Lift the opposite leg up. It's good to try both sides. Same thing. Lift your standing heel up. Kick your top heel to the sky. Lean forward and lower down. Try 4 more. Lean forward. Transfer the weight to your hands. Kick up and lower. 3, find the weight transferring, heels lifting and lower. Find that elevation of the shoulders, shrugging up. And then last one, feel that hollow front body as you lift up. Nice. Step your top foot down, bend your knees, lower to the ground, and then take a moment to roll your wrists out. And catch your breath. Nice to take a child's pose in between sides. Bring your head below your heart. Decrease your heart rate. Wanting to make sure that you are approaching these inversions from a place that feels really calm and grounded and centered. When we go upside down, our heart rate automatically starts to elevate and become faster. So it's important to really ground yourself and calm yourself between each set as you're trying something new out. So let's all take 5 big breaths together. Close down the eyes wherever you are. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Again, in through your nose. Out the mouth. Last one in and out. And then the last 2 are for you. Wonderful. And then whenever you're ready to try again, you come back to that short downward facing dog. And if at any point you want to just stop and work through any of these progressions on their own a little bit more, then you're more than welcome to. It's all about adding on your own time. So find your short dog, knees lift, hips hike up. Once again, you're going to choose your favorite leg to lift away from the mat. And then we're adding on from those rocks forward and back. It's going to be a little hop switch of your legs. So you're going to find again that lean forward, that transfer of your weight to your hands. You're pushing the floor away from you. And then you're just going to do a little hop switch in the air, taking the opposite leg to the ground. Hop switch, take the opposite foot to the ground. And then you're just working on building a little bit of height. So every time you hop switch, maybe you catch a little bit more air. You hop switch, you finding that hollow body shape at the top. Your core is engaged. Your shoulders are pushing up towards your ears. And you're keeping that activation out through your lifted heel. Thinking of taking your top heel to the sky. Yeah, one more. Nice. Take a break. Bum to floor. Child's pose. Good. And then whenever you're ready to come back up, your choice is to, again, find some work into any of those progressions. And then when you do and you're ready to fully attempt your handstand, it's not so much of a kick up. We're not trying to fling our way into the handstand. It's really about controlling your way so that you can find that balance of everything stacking in one beautiful line. And we can't do that when we just like flail into it. So come back to your short downward facing dog. Your favorite leg lifts. You're gripping the floor with your finger pads. Gaze between the thumbs. Hollow front body. And then you start the same way. You float your standing heel away from the floor, and then you attempt that little hop, but instead of switching the legs in the air, you're trying to bring the feet together. And then coming out by stepping one foot down at a time. Nice. Take your child's pose. Last one. Once you've taken some time to reground and steady yourself, you can lift your head and chest back up. I hope this little step-by-step guide was helpful and beneficial for you in finding handstand in your practice. I hope to see you again soon.